let's go to the Kansas City Chiefs for a moment, shall we? I know Kansas City Chiefs fans hold their breath when I start talking about the Chiefs, but you guys need to look at one of your own. Because earlier, I think it was this week, Brett Veach, architect, mastermind, whatever you want to call him, came out in the media and was talking about Travis Kelce and his, shall we say, struggle. So I looked it up. So 3 years ago, Travis Kelce, 1,300 yards, 12 touchdowns. I think you could argue he's the best tight end in the league. 2 years ago, those numbers dipped to 984 yards and 5 touchdowns. So 400 fewer yards, 7 fewer touchdowns. Last year, Travis Kelce down to 823 yards, 3 touchdowns. Career lows across the board. Now, the guy's turning 36 soon. What are we to make of that? Now, you and I can look at this and see whatever we want. Okay? I look at this and see a former superstar in decline, as it happens to everybody, right? That's just normal. Everybody starts to decline in their mid-30s in whatever professional sport they play, unless your name is LeBron or Tom Brady, who are just freaks. But Chiefs fans look at this and say, well, he's just slow playing it, saving it for the playoffs. Okay, fine. He had a great game against the Texans and did nothing in the other 2 games. Go look at his Super Bowl clips. If you can clip off every route he ran in the Super Bowl, he was useless. Travis Kelce did absolutely nothing against the Eagles. I mean, look at this drop right here. That's just brutal. And that's against the Texans when he actually played halfway decent. But he's not the same guy he was, and that's not a knock. So Brett Veach came out, and this is an actual quote. This is not made up. This is not fake news. This might be it. Now, that was part of a larger quote, but when you're watching Kelce in the Super Bowl, again, go call it up on YouTube. You look at that and you're like, this might be it. So when the GM is saying that, now, is that a motivational ploy to get Kelce fired up and locked in? If you can only do so much. Now, Kelce may come out in the first 2 weeks and have, 15 catches for 300 yards. And, he's back. He's back. He's coming off like a 7-month rest, guys. Okay? So I asked Albert Breer about this earlier in the show. Here's Breer on Veach's comments about his tight end.
Well, I mean, he's turning 36. You know what I mean? Like, so I think I think if you're being honest about it, like, he's already that position, by the way, like, it's amazing he's made it as long as he has. More tight ends wear the tag of injury prone than I think at any other position. And the reason why is because of how difficult that position is on your body. So the fact that he's made it this far is really, really remarkable.
And his body's breaking down, which he's talked about. He actually has one of my favorite quotes that I think about a lot because of all my injuries, where he's like, I've had 10 different surgeries and not a day goes by that I don't feel every single one. And I'm like, yeah, man, I feel you. And it kind of keeps me motivated, honestly, to be like, okay. Even some of the injuries that I had that I didn't need or that I didn't get surgery and I could have gotten surgery for, and I'm always like, should I have gotten surgery? Would I feel better? And I'm like, well, Travis Kelce says that he feels every single one of his surgeries, so any of the pain that you feel now could have been the same even with the surgery. And it's like, okay. So I appreciate that. Appreciate the honesty from Kelce in that regard. But yeah, he's obviously in decline. I talked to a lot of Kansas City Chiefs fans in the comment section. A lot. I have not heard the argument that he's saving it for the playoffs. I think there was a hope that he'll be able to step up in the playoffs, and he definitely did that against the Houston Texans. I mean, he was wide open in a lot, but then he was like, he had a ton of yak, and I'm not saying that to bring down Patrick Mahomes. Like, he just was, Kelce was just a beast there. It was comical at that point, and I don't think I think it's understandable that he's no longer what he once was. I think there will be the acceptance of that. I think what you get out of Kelce this year will partly, of course, the help and all of that, but it will depend probably more on Andy Reid than anything in terms of, like, how does he want to utilize him? How much does he want to play him? What type of positions does he want to put him into in any given moment in a game? I think that's what it will probably depend more on than anything. Kind of what I had a similar take, but for different reasons with Christian McCaffrey and Shanahan. It's like, okay, you can't make Christian McCaffrey the foundation of your offense right now. So how are you going to, like, what are you going to do? How are you going to use Christian McCaffrey? I put that on Shanahan. And I would think the same thing with Andy Reid. And I think Travis Kelce is probably also thinking, like, this could be it. This is the last hurrah. I think it all depends on how he wants to wrestle with the idea of his football mortality in terms of that it's coming to an end. Like, maybe he's not saying this is the last one, but he kind of knows deep down, or he's kind of like, well, I'm leaving the door open, but he also kind of knows, probably not. Like, it all depends on how you kind of want to do those mental tricks to yourself, honestly. For some people, it's like, you got to say it right now. This is it. And then you go all in on this is it. But other people are kind of like, I can't say that. I feel like this could be it, but like, I'll see what happens at the end. And it's what like a Brady did. It's what an MJ did. It's what Kobe did. It's what it's what a lot of these guys end up doing. Not everyone is like, this is my final season, and they just know it going into it, and it's like, this is how it goes. Like, it all depends. And I actually really loved Kobe's quote when he retired, when he's just like, I just don't want to do it anymore. I mean, that's what he said. He's like, I could still play. He's like, I just don't want to do it anymore. And I think there was some truth to that. I think there was some real truth that he doesn't want to do it anymore. But like, he also tried to kind of emphasize that he could keep playing at this like high level. And it's like, I don't know if that was 100% true, but I do believe that he was just like, because he's like, I've done this like my entire life, 20 plus years, in the pros. Like, I don't want to do it anymore. And I think you do reach that point when you're just like, man, I know this is the end. I know I want to, in a perfect world, I would play forever. But when you do accept that, like, you obviously can't do it forever and you're going to have different stages in your life, you're like, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. And I feel because of Taylor Swift as well, like, he didn't have a rich life off the field. I mean, he got to do whatever he wanted. He was a stereotypical bachelor in that regard, having his fun by all means. But like, if you watch that documentary that I referenced before, the Kelce documentary that was more about Jason Kelce, but Travis Kelce was definitely in it. Like, you could see he's looking at Jason, who at that time is married, having kids, and it's just a different life. And he's just Uncle Travie or whatever. And it's just like, he's just more on the outside looking in of a family life and what to do. And both Kelce brothers were kind of lost. Kelce's like, knows that he's going to be retiring, and he's like trying to start a farm or something. I forget what he was doing, but it was just like, he was just kind of like, I don't know what to do. And then they were saved by their podcast. They started their podcast, and it gave them another purpose, like another something else to do. And then of course, Travis Kelce dating Taylor Swift. And even if it's not Taylor Swift, it's just someone that he obviously cares about. Obviously having Taylor Swift adds like a whole nother layer to it and a whole nother universe. But just the sheer fact that you're actually in a relationship with someone who you actually truly care about is its own journey in itself. And that is going to then make things like football just matter less. It just will. I mean, and I believe Kelce's the type of person who probably at the end of the day, if you were like, bro, you got to choose right now. Live happily ever after with Taylor Swift or win another Super Bowl. He's like, I'm going to pick Taylor Swift and live happily ever after. Because at the heart of it, that's what a lot of guys would pick. And it's not even just Taylor Swift. It's just like, you want to be at home. He's had his glory. He's had his fun. Part of it now is accepting that that's over or near the end, at least. Not to say that he can't win, not to say that he still can't ball out, because I'm not saying that he can't ball out, that he can't be great. I'm not, if the Kansas City Chiefs are in the playoffs, AFC Championship game or whatever, Super Bowl, it's like, I'm not going to go, Kelce's not going to be good. Like, I'm not saying that at all. But I think this is one of the more interesting things, and I hope he kind of explores it on the podcast, like, as honestly, especially after it's said and done. A year from now, 2 years from now, I'd love to hear him talk about how his life changed throughout the career, throughout his NFL career, how he viewed football differently after he kind of got in a more serious, committed relationship, what it was like to see Jason living that life while he wasn't, but yet he's still winning rings and Super Bowls, and his whole career and brand explode. And at the his career and brand and his off the field life really started to be amazing pretty much at the exact time that his on the field started to go down a little bit, right? And it's just like, that's fascinating in its own right, that I would just love to hear him kind of explore and be nuanced. I don't know if he will, but to me it's really kind of fascinating when you think about it. It was just like, he had that peak, he's dating, they win the Super Bowl in 23, which is amazing, but like, he obviously he wasn't what he was in 22, and then 24, right? This is now like that next year, and it just was not quite the same. They obviously had team success, but he couldn't quite get it going. And then in the biggest moment, the Super Bowl, let's go, was hardly one of his best games, and probably a game that he would very much like to forget about. But this is on the backdrop of him having the most successful off the field year of his life, right? So it's interesting. It really is. And I think there's a lot more overlap and influence of each other in one way or the other. And so, yeah. I'm really interested to see what Kelce looks like this year, because I think you will get potentially kind of like an empty the tank type situation, but that is where it makes it slightly more difficult to try to figure out, because we know the Chiefs are obviously always capable of going on a Super Bowl run. If this was a more traditional situation, you would say, Kelce's just going to empty the tank and just do everything he can game after game after game. But since you are thinking about it from the perspective of like trying to win a Super Bowl, going to be a little bit more different than just like, this is my final year, I just got to go all out. It's like, no, our goal is to make sure that you are healthy and playing at your best when we're in the playoffs, and especially conference championship games, Super Bowls. So that's why it's going to be a balance. That's why I put so much of it on Andy Reid, to try to figure out what do we, for looking at it from the Chiefs' perspective, like what do we need to do to maximize this experience? And I think it also depends on if it's clear that the Chiefs, and I don't think this will be the case, this is what J-Mac thinks, but the Chiefs are not going to be a playoff team, they're not going to be that good, and if it's clear that like they're not going to make the playoffs, which I just don't see how that, even if they don't make the playoffs, I don't see how it would be clear that they're not. It's not like they're going to be like a 4-win team, going into week 12 or something. Then you could have like kind of like, whatever, let's just have one last hurrah with Kelce, and you're just trying to get after it. But I don't see how that could even remotely be the case. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Travis Kelce and the fact that this could be his last season? How do you think this will impact this coming season? Not only from his perspective, as well as for the Kansas City Chiefs. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be a part of. I think we're all on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.